Hi. So I had a question. How do I plan out my garden, my vegetable garden? And that's a good question because I've used different methods every single year. You learn from the mistakes that you made the last year. You might have planted something in an area you didn't realise was shady or as shady as it was, or alternatively have put a shade-loving plant smack bang in the middle of where the best sun is. So that's my dog's out there. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Although that was probably just a split second for you, whereas it was about 5 minutes for me. Anyway, so yes, how do you go around planning your garden? Well, you need to follow the sun. Study where the sun is going to be and where it's not going to be, and initially plant in those particular areas depending on whether the plants you are growing like sun or not. So for example, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, melons, they all love courgettes. They all love the sun. So they will appreciate it if you give them as much sun as possible. They will give you as much fruit as possible. Whereas your peas you'll be putting out at this time of the year anyway, which is when there's not very many leaves on trees, so your sunlight in your garden is not going to be as strong as, or it's going to be stronger, it's going to be lighter, it's not going to be as hot. And your peas are going to appreciate basically being planted somewhere which is going to give them light now to start growing, but that's going to become shady and keep them cool when the weather starts to start getting a bit warmer. Your brassicas, your leafy vegetables, they're not going to appreciate too much sun. They're going to bolt too quickly and go to seed. So you want to keep them in the coolest areas as possible. So then look at companion planting. So with companion planting, you can just Google this. Some plants like to live next to other plants, and you just companion plant along with that. So onions, for example. Onions, in fact, are a great companion plant for nearly all of your vegetables. Not only do they not mind growing next to your vegetables, and your vegetables do not mind onions growing next to them as well, they are very good at deterring the pests. The flies and things can get confused by the scent of the onions and be thrown off course of going in and damaging your plants. Nasturtium, the butterflies and the caterpillars adore nasturtium. So I discovered by accident last year when I planted nasturtium all the way along my cucumbers and all the way around some of my brassicas, and I realized that the caterpillars were going for the nasturtium before they were going for anything else. So guess what's going to be planted a lot in my garden this year? And then some things like beans give off a lot of nitrogen back into the soil, so they pretty much are good companion plants for any of your other vegetables, so you can always grow beans up beside any of them. And there are lots that are do's and some that are don'ts, so check on your companion planting before actually putting your plants together with each other. And then you've got succession planting. So for example, in a lot of my beds out there at the moment, I have got radish growing. They are very quick at growing and providing a yield of vegetable before your other crops will go into the ground. They're also very good at breaking up the ground. So they help you. They do the first job of the year for you. So the first thing I do every year is get my radishes in as quickly as possible. And then when plants are coming, when you're sort of like midsummer and you know that your plants are going to start petering out towards the end of the summer, you can start planting in your winter crops, and they can start off very small, growing underneath the plants that are going to be being taken out for the winter. So I'm looking down at my plan right now, which I'm going to show you. So when I first started this, I had a small section of my garden, and I just started off with 2 or 3 containers, then a few more containers, and then pallet beds, and then a boat, and now pretty much 2/3 of my front garden is now dedicated to vegetable growing, and I started off with a plan. And the method I've used has just meant that I can stick on extra parts of the plan as I go. It'll make sense in a second. Hold on, bear with me. So this is my plan. This is what I mean by sticking bits on. So I started off with this section here. I started off with this section here, and then I stuck on this section here, and then I stuck on this section here. And so you can pretty much see, I've basically what I've done is I've used table mats and coasters and the lids of pots to lay out my garden. So this is where the sun really hits my garden, and then over here it's fine and sunny right now, but the willow hasn't quite got all of its leaves yet, and once the willow gets all of its leaves, that's going to become a much more shaded area with dappled sunlight. And then this is my patio. So this is new this year. I didn't have the patio last year, so my herbs are all around the patio this year, which has given me more space. Where I did have my herbs growing up either side of my boats last year. Yep, that's see the shape of that's a boat. Then now I've got room to plant courgette beds, and I've given myself potato and bean beds up along the fence. So, and I've written on here my succession planting. So to begin with, I have my radish in there, then I'm going to have my tomatoes in there, and then when my tomatoes leave, I'm going to have my lettuce in there. Now this is the 2020 plan. So I will keep this, and it will go be in storage, and I will refer to it as and when I need to refer to it. But I don't expect this to be the same plan for next year. Next year I will probably pull out some more cardboard, stick it all together, draw it out again, and tweak what I planted this year. Because I've tried things, like I've planted the odd thing in the more sunny area and in the shaded area over here and in the partial shade area here, to see which part of the garden it grows best in. So how do you plan out your garden? How do you draw it up? Have you got this sophisticated online or electronic plan system that you use? Or are you like me? Do you stick it together on a bit of cardboard? So take care, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.